Back with episode 3. I don't know why I always have to start these things at the same time. I probably don't need to tell you what episode it is. I don't need to say that I'm back, but I say it anyway. So here I am in this episode of I Love This Album! Exclamation point, like Jake Jarmel in Seinfeld. Today I'm going to talk about King's X masterpiece in my world. Faith, Hope, Love is their masterpiece. A lot of people might say it's I would say most people, King's X fans, would say it's Gretchen Goes to Nebraska. And I do really like, I would even say I love Gretchen Goes to Nebraska. But I like Faith, Hope, Love even better. I'm going to tell you a little bit about King's X. I got into them. Their first album came out in '87. And kind of strange. They were, I used to listen to a show, and I lived in Toronto at the time. I've mentioned this before when I've done these discography reviews. There was and maybe still is a radio station, a college, a university radio station called CFRU, which was 88.1 on your FM dial. And there was a guy called Brian Taylor who used to do a show on CKLN 88.1. He was kind of a multifaceted guy. He produced Sacrifice albums and Slaughter, maybe, I can't remember, and I don't know if he owned or he was the manager at Record Peddler, which was a legendary Toronto record store. Anyway, so he had this radio station called Arg Rock, and he played primarily like thrash metal and punk. But I was listening to it one night. It used to be on Tuesday, I think at 11, and I was listening to it one night, and he played this new band. It was King's X. And it was very strange because they didn't sound like something that was typical of that show. They weren't punk, they weren't metal, they were, kind of rock and very melodic, very, very different. And I remember him, and I used to tape them all back then. I used to tape every show. And he talked about how great they were. They were this new band from Texas. And then I liked the song, and I think it was Shot of Love was the song, or maybe Goldilocks, I'm not sure. But I liked it a lot. And so I bought that album, and then I bought Gretchen Goes to Nebraska when it came out in '89. And King's X became, and maybe still is, I think, considered a musician's band. And I'm not a musician, but I still love them. So that doesn't mean that you can't like King's X if you're not a musician like me. If you have no talent like me, or even if you're in a band and you still have no talent, it doesn't mean you can't love King's X, because they are a great, great band. But so Faith, Hope, Love came out in 1990, and here it is. In case you wondered, I am going to show it to you. There it is, Faith, Hope, Love, King's X, 1990. For me, this was, they were building towards, this. I liked the first one, and then I liked Gretchen even more. And then when this came out, they became one of my favorite bands. And remained a favorite for quite a few years, through the 90s, I guess, at least anyway. Very unique band. They're in case you don't know, if you're watching this, I'm sure you already know, I'm not going to convert anybody to King's X after they've been around for 33 or 34 years. 3 guys, and similar to maybe ZZ Top and almost Rush, they've never changed their lineup. Maybe it's because they're a trio. It's easier for 3 guys to have a harmonious relationship than 4 or more, but it's Doug Pinnick, Ty Tabor, and Jerry Gaskill, and they were very unique. They didn't sound like anybody. They were very different than the music that I was listening to at the time. This was the late '80s. By then, I was still listening to Iron Maiden and a lot of thrash metal then, but also I don't know who else. Bullet Boys. I love Bullet Boys. Faster Pussycat was maybe around that time. Motley Crue still. King's X didn't sound like anything like that. They had 2 main singers, Ty and Doug. I guess you would consider Doug had more songs that he sang lead on. He was the bass player, and also he sang lead on. Yeah, more than Ty. Jerry only sang on a few, and but they had amazing backing vocals, very melodic. Amazing harmonies. So this album came out in 1990. Now I do remember I bought this in Florida. I was in Florida, and when I used to write the dates on CDs, when I bought them, I bought this on November 15th, 1990 in Florida. Specifically, I bought it in Orlando at a record store called Peaches. And I think I can't remember what else I bought there. Not sure. But yeah, this was very, very different music for me. Maybe similar, maybe also at the time, Jane's Addiction and Faith No More. None of them sounded like this, but just that they were, and Soundgarden too, still kind of like heavy, maybe not exactly metal, but still a heavy rock band, but sounded totally different than what everybody else was doing. Going through this track by track, let me go to this. We Are Finding Who We Are. Forever is a mountain we've yet to climb. Tears are a part of what we've yet to leave behind. Patience is a virtue, but she won't always wait. Dissension is the tension. It's what we've learned to hate. I was going to sing it. I'm not going to do that. I love that song. Amazing opening song. Doug sings that one with, again, great backing vocals. It's Love. That's a Ty Tabor song. Beautiful, beautiful song. Very, I don't know what else to say other than it's a beautiful song. I think I generally, I guess you had this with the Beatles and Kiss. You were either a Gene or a Paul guy, or with Kiss, or a John or a Paul guy in with the Beatles. I never had exactly that division with King's X. Think of it now. I'm not sure who I like better. Doug sang more songs for sure, but maybe I had a tendency towards Ty songs. I'm not sure. Ty also had some great solo albums, especially Moonflower Lane. Maybe I'll talk about that one. So It's Love is a beautiful, beautiful song. I'll Never Get Tired of You, another kind of ballady, but not cheesy. King's X didn't write anything cheesy. They wrote amazing songs. I'll Never Get Tired of You. Fine Art of Friendship, another. This whole album is beautiful. It reminds me of, what's another album like that? I can't remember. It's just, every song is just like happy, but not sappy. Not over the top crying or ballady or anything like that, but just a very, very uplifting album. Fine Art of Friendship. Mr. Wilson, another Ty song. Hey, Mr. Wilson, I'm glad to shake your hand. You can't shake hands with Mr. Wilson anymore. You got to do the elbow bump. Moan Jam. Moan Jam is maybe my least favorite on this album. I think for a lot of people, that's maybe kind of the centerpiece of this album. It's a long one, very fast. I maybe didn't like King's X fast songs. I like their groove songs, which most of this album was. Six Broken Soldiers, that was Jerry Gaskell's contribution or vocal contribution to this album. Very weird lyrics. It was, how does it start? I don't care if you're sick, what could I possibly do with an American library and a contract on you? Got 6 broken soldiers in the trunk of my car. 2 of them speak, 4 go to bars. Rods in the closet, a 6-shooter in hand, a caged up gorilla, and 3 local bands. And then the second verse was fluently the parrot speaks 6 languages not known to man, 6 pence and a quarter, and the audience he scans. I love 6 Broken Soldiers. I think I'd forgotten maybe for a long time that was a Jerry Gaskell song. To me, he kind of sounds very similar to Ty Tabor. They never had, I don't think in the credits, I don't know if they didn't say each, I mean, it was very obvious. But I think for years I thought that 6 Broken Soldiers was Ty Tabor, but it was Jerry Gaskell. Yeah, 6 Broken Soldiers. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's a great one for sure. Moving on, what else have we got? I Can't Help It, amazing song. Very, very, that's got an amazing groove. But I just can't help it. I just can't help it. Talk to You, kind of a quiet song. Everywhere I Go, another very kind of soulful song, especially Doug's vocals on that. I love that song too. We Were Born to Be Loved maybe has the biggest fake ending in any song. It's not like in I Love It Loud, the volume goes down, then it comes back up. We Were Born to Be Loved has like 27 different fake endings in it. I think the last 2 minutes of the song is all just fake endings. Good song, that one is also. Faith, Hope, Love, maybe you could argue that that's the centerpiece of the album since it is the title track. And it's long, almost, how long is it? Almost 10 minutes? I need like 9:23, it's a long one. And then Legal Kill, which I remember years and years after, people saying that it was about abortion or anti-abortion. I never took it as that, but maybe I'm just not smart enough to read too deeply into lyrics. But yeah, now I continued to be a huge King's X fan after this. I guess, could have done their whole discography like I did with all those other ones, but I'm missing too many of their physical albums, and I like to show it to people and physically touch it. It's tangible. A lot of those I left. I could only bring so many CDs with me when I moved to Mexico, and I think a lot of the King's X albums had to stay home. I think they're still in my mother's basement. Now something else, just quickly, kind of related to this, and only because it's new. Look at that. This fantastic, presumably fantastic King's X book. I just got this for Christmas recently, and I think I might start. I'm reading a book now. It's over here. I don't know why I'm pointing at it. Who cares where my book is? I'm reading a Sopranos book called The Sopranos Sessions. I'm almost finished it. I think I have maybe 6. Why am I telling people? Who cares? I have some 60 pages left. I think this might be next. I have a lot of books in the queue, and I think this might be next. This looks really good. It's they go through, the band goes through each of their album, each song on each album. They kind of like what I'm doing here. I'm sure much more eloquently, and they give insight into it. Some other bands, I think Charlie Benante has some contributions to this book. Stuart Copeland from The Police, Paul Schaefer even. So I'm looking forward to reading this King's X. It's called the Oral History, but it's not oral. It should be King's X, the written history. No, this is not an audio book, so a little bit of a strange title. Written by Greg Prato, I guess, who also wrote this. Kind of along the same lines. I like this style of book. Very, very easy to read. So I think when I finish that Sopranos book in a few days, I'll read the King's X, the written history. I'm not going to call it the oral history. So getting back to this this gem, this beauty, this is called Faith, Hope, Love, and it's by one of my favorite bands, King's X, and I love this album.